Welcome to the Blabbing It Up show. My name is AC.
I'm Chloe.
I'm Diana.
And I'm Nicole.
On today's show, we'll be discussing whether students should work or not. We'll be talking about gender differences and finally examine the pros and cons of student employment. To start, here's a little background regarding working students. Approximately 56% of Canadian undergraduates work. On average, they work about 18 hours a week, while 18% work more than 30 hours a week. From 1990 to 2000, tuition fees had increased by 22%, and they continue to do so each year. Working while in school is important for many students, as 63% of students said that they fund their education through their employment income, which can range from about $5,000 to $7,000. Nicole will start us off with a discussion on gender differences among students who work.
Student employment has a greater positive impact for females than for males. When females enter the workforce as a student, they experience a greater increase of autonomy, self-reliance, and independence compared to males. This is because the traditional pathway for males is to enter the workforce. This is the expected route for them and borders more on conformity than autonomy. Traditionally, women would be the caregivers and housekeepers, and it is not expected for them to enter the workforce. Therefore, a break away from this would have a greater impact on their development of autonomy. This gender discrepancy can be traced back to the adolescent's household, in which two factors will affect their view on employment. These two factors are the employment status of the mother and the division of household labor. The employment status and history of the parents, especially the mothers, affects the student's view on whether or not mothers should work. Students whose mothers were employed while raising their children saw more benefits to maternal employment, whereas students whose mothers did not work saw more costs to maternal employment. This in turn affects students' views on female employment amongst their peers. The division of labor within a household also affects this view. In households where mothers do the majority of the housework and caring for children, the students view maternal employment as taking away from the mother's duties within the household. In a household where both parents share household duties and child-caring duties equally, the students view maternal employment more positively in that it does not have a negative impact on their upbringing. As a female, being employed would be seen as positive if both parents are employed and share household duties equally. As a male, being employed would be seen as beneficial for themselves and females if raised in the same family environment as mentioned before, but not beneficial for females if the family environment is one of an unemployed mother and unequal household duties. This can be seen amongst male Asian Americans who believe that there are adverse effects of maternal employment on children. The majority of parenting styles of Asian Americans have a traditional family system where the mother stays at home to care for the children and the father works. Therefore, the children of those parents would uphold the same values. However, European American and Hispanic females are the least likely to see the costs of maternal employment, and this is influenced by their family systems, which consist of employed mothers and an equal division of labor between the two parents. This is how the cultural background of the students and their parents can affect their views on female and male student employment.
Why students work? According to research, the number one reason why students choose to work while in school is for personal money, and the number one reason for not working is because it interferes with their studies.
Students in the workforce are most likely to work in the retail trades, with 36% working in this field. This includes working in areas such as food and beverage stores, as well as clothing stores.
The positive aspects of having a job. The benefits of having a part-time job during adolescence is that it facilitates the development of autonomy, increases peer acceptance, and allows the teen to develop job skills and gain work experience. Developing autonomy. An important part of the transition from adolescence to adulthood is preparing for adult responsibilities and achieving identity. This can explain why many adolescents wish to have a part-time job. Teens who work tend to distance themselves from their families and begin to learn about their own strengths and weaknesses and identify what they want and can do in life, which is important for achieving identity. In the job setting, they are often forced to stand up for themselves and take responsibility, making them even more autonomous. Parents in North America often support the adolescent's decision of working part-time because they believe it builds character and a sense of responsibility. Peer acceptance. Research has shown that students who work spend more time with friends. A possible explanation for this finding is that adolescents who work form relationships with peers from their job in addition to the friendships formed at school, as well as the prestige that comes from having a job may facilitate peer acceptance among adolescents. Job skills. Working often requires the ability to function in teams and to handle delicate, difficult situations with tact, presence, or mind, and diplomacy. Therefore, having a part-time job forces adolescents to develop strong social and communication skills and other skills such as discipline, maturity, and responsibility that will be beneficial in most future occupations. A longitudinal study found that the advantages of working while in school persisted through ages 27 and 28. Males who worked more years during adolescence were more employable and tended to work more hours throughout the year. The increased employability may result from the skills and knowledge gained from previous job experience. According to research, there are numerous negative consequences for adolescents having a part-time job while in school. As the number of hours worked increased, adolescents had poorer relationships with parents, problems in school, and higher rates of delinquent behavior. Poor relationships with family. Adolescents who worked more hours spent less time doing joint family activities, had fewer conversations with their parents, and demonstrated or received less affection. As adolescents begin to earn money, they gain a sense of economic independence, which can minimize the age subordination that is built into the family system, causing a strain on the parent-child relationship. Many studies have shown that adolescents who worked part-time spend less time studying and demonstrate lower school achievement compared to those who do not work. By being attracted to the money and prestige aspect of working, some adolescents may underestimate the long-term importance of educational attainment, which can increase the risk of students dropping out. A recent study that was conducted in University of Quebec found that there was significant repercussions associated with working while in school, especially if the adolescents were in grade 9 and working more than 11 hours per week. These students demonstrated lower academic aspirations, lower average marks, and more fatigue, whereas students who worked part-time in grade 11 did not demonstrate the same negative effects. According to researchers, some possible explanations for these findings are that by this age, students already made career choices and understood the importance of schooling on job security. By grade 11, the students may have also developed efficient strategies to balance the double role of work and school, or those whose motivations towards school remain low may have chosen less demanding classes.
Many studies have concluded that working as an adolescent can lead to deviance. One study looked at the short and long-term consequences of adolescents who work. They discovered that the short-term consequences are the following. The longer you work in your teen years and the higher the intensity of that work has negative outcomes on academic achievement, family relationships, and delinquency. Students tend to spend less time studying and school aspirations decrease because students forget how important school is in the long run when they start achieving at work. The long-term consequences were the more years you work as a teenager, the more likely you will use drugs and alcohol when you're in your late 20s. Another study looked at adolescent part-time work and heavy drinking in Finland. They found that adolescents that work are more likely to drink for the following reasons. Working gives them money that their parents have no control over. Working makes you more independent, and adolescents who decide to work may be more independent to start with. They are more likely to meet friends who engage in illegal activity and encourage drinking. Work stress can drive adolescents to drink as a way of coping. The students who already don't like school are more attracted to working intensively, and this can affect their alcohol use. And finally, students who work often behave more adult-like, and this increases alcohol use, steady dating, and smoking. Another study looked at factors that could increase or decrease deviance in students who work. They found that you are more likely to work more hours in high school if you used alcohol, participated in school misconduct, or were arrested in grade 9. Deviance at a young age predicts the amount of hours worked in high school. When adolescents cannot balance work and school, it increases drinking rates, especially as hours at work increase. Ironically, the factors that increased deviance were conditions that adults value in the workplace, such as autonomy, social status, and high wages. However, the study also looked at factors that decrease deviance, such as being closely supervised, having less peer status, and lower wages. They found that if teens work in jobs that are compatible with their schoolwork, they are less likely to be part of school deviance, and they participated less in drinking even when their hours at work increased. Jobs that provided learning opportunities and new skills decreased alcohol use in grade 12. They concluded that good jobs for adolescents were office clerks and museum ushers because they are organized and they won't be with delinquent peers.
Here is a real-life example of the pros and cons.
Dahlia Bayumi is a bartender at Salty Nut Cafe. She's a senior who's been working throughout college to pay part of her expenses.
I mean, there have been nights that I've studied while I was here.
A scholarship takes care of her tuition, and her parents also help out.
If you're working at a restaurant, you don't know how late you're going to be here, or you don't know how late you're going to stay, and then you might get scheduled the day before an exam.
According to a new poll, Dahlia is not alone. It says 84% of college students polled need more than one source of cash to keep up, and 3/4 say they need a part-time job to help pay for food, bills, etc. Dahlia says it's tough to balance work and school, especially around finals week.
It's extremely difficult to juggle finals and a job, because everybody's studying, it's hard to find people to work for you.
And she admits because of work, she's missed out on part of the college experience.
It's not that bad, but weekends and, I definitely missed out on a lot, yeah.
But in the end, Dahlia believes all of her hard work will pay off.
I've always worked just because I think it builds up work ethic and makes people more well-rounded to be in, the real world.
Because after college, we're all going to have to work for a living. Jordan Beck, Carolina News.
As our presentation shows, there are many factors that contribute to the benefits and costs of student employment, such as age, gender, and the type of job. The majority of studies are inconclusive on whether employment is beneficial or not for students. As students yourselves, what do you think about student employment? Should students work?
You better work, bitch. You wanna live fancy, live in a big mansion, party in France. You better work, bitch. You better work, bitch.